How you doing, family, friends, Facebook and YouTube? This is Ivan coming at you again with another lesson. Today's lesson will be entitled "The Books Written, Record of the Jews." All right. Just like any time I sit down and talk, we start with our precepts first. Okay. Our first precept is going to be Isaiah chapter 28, verses 9 and 10. Okay. This is how we read the Bible. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk, and drawn from the breast. Verses 10. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, and there a little. Verse 11. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to his people. All right. We're pretty much we're gonna stay at the Bible today, and also the Book of Mormon, but we're gonna get into the seal portion, and you're gonna understand today why it's sealed. Okay. Let's talk about some other books. Got the Apocrypha today. We're gonna open this up and read a couple of scriptures from it. All right. We're going to go to 2nd Esdras chapter 14, verses 37 through 48. This is 2nd Esdras, all right? So I took the 5 men. Actually, let's start up at verse 28. Hear these words, O Israel. Verse 29. Our fathers at the beginning were strangers in Egypt, from whence they were delivered. Now we're going to drop down to verse 37. We're talking to Israel. The Most High is telling Israel to hear these words. Hear these words, Israel. All right? So I took the 5 men as he commanded me, and we went into the field and remained there. Verse 38. And the next day, behold, a voice called me, saying, Esdras, open thy mouth and drink that I gave thee to drink. Verse 39. Then opened I my mouth, and behold, he reached me a full cup, which was full as it were with water, but the color of it was like fire. Verses 40. And I took it and drank, and when I had drunk of it, my heart uttered understanding, and wisdom drew in my breast. For my spirit strengthened my memory. Verse 41. And my mouth was open and shut no more. Verse 42. The highest gave me understanding unto the 5 men. And they wrote the wonderful visions of the night that were told, which they knew not. And they sat 40 days. And they sat 40 days. And they sat 40 days. And wrote in the day, and at night they ate bread. Verse 43. As for me, I spake in the day, and I held not my tongue by night. Verse 44. In 40 days they wrote 204 books. In 40 days they wrote 204 books. In 40 days they wrote 204 books. You got 204 books of the Bible, okay? Written by Hebrews, okay? Verse 45. And it came to pass when the 40 days was fulfilled, Salakia, that the highest spake, saying, the first that thou hast written, publish openly. The Bible. The first that you have written, publish it openly. Let everybody read it, okay? Let everybody read it. Verse 46. But keep the 70 last. What? But keep the 70 last, that thou mayest deliver them only to such as be wise among the people. You got to be wise. Everybody can read this one, the Bible. Okay, everybody can read the Bible, okay? But the other books, those are people that's going to be wise. Okay? Let's start over. Verse 46. But keep the 70 last, that thou mayest deliver them only to such be wise among the people. For in them is the spring of understanding, the fountain of wisdom, and the stream of knowledge. And I did so. Okay? When you ask the Most High for more knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, He'll give you a book. He'll get you out the Bible and He'll give you other books, okay? So when I asked the Most High for more wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, He gave me this Apocrypha. Alright? Alrighty, so let's go to... Oh, before we open up the book, I wanted to show you guys here Elisai. I did a session on Elisai. Had God changed his name from Elisai to Lehi. Okay? This here, I googled him up so that you can see. Okay? So let me kind of read this before I even start with Lehi. Elisai, God made. He is one of the descendants of Judah, of the family of Hezron. And you can read about that in 1 Chronicles chapter 2, verse 39. He is a descendant of King Saul. 1 Chronicles chapter 8, verse 37. Chapter 9 and verse 43. He's the son of Shaphan, one of the two who were sent by Zedekiah to Nebuchadnezzar, and also took charge of Jeremiah's letter to the captives of Babylon. If you read Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 3, you will read about Elisai. Okay? I just wanted to bring that up to you guys' face and so that you can see that for yourself. Alright? Now we're going to open up the sealed Book of Mormon. This is the sealed Book of Mormon, okay? I want to show you his name in here again. I circled it. Here. Elisai. Now his name is Lehi. God changed his name to Lehi, okay? So I'm going to read why God changed his name to Lehi. That the Lord appeared to him in a pillar of fire, and after the event he was no longer called by the birth name Elisai, but he became known by the name that God called him, Lehi. So God changed his name from Elisai to Lehi, okay? Which corresponds to the abbreviation of Elisab, okay? Whose meaning is by means of whom God restores, okay? Now there's a reason why I'm bringing this book forth, okay? But we're going to get into the story in the sealed portion. We're going to get into the story of the sealed portion right here, okay? We're going to go to Lehi chapter 3. Lehi chapter 3 verses 30 through 31. But we're going to really be in chapter 4, but I just want to give a couple of scriptures in chapter 3. For behold, the Lord had warned Lehi in a dream that he should take his family and flee into the wilderness. Okay? Lehi's got to leave Jerusalem. Okay? Jerusalem is about to be destroyed by the Romans. So Lehi has to get his family and all the records of the Jews, which he can take. And also he's got to take Ishmael's family. Okay? So let's drop down to verse 31. And it came to pass that Lehi left his gold and his silver and all his material possessions and fled with his family into the wilderness. Okay? The Most High told him he got to go. The man left his gold, his silver, everything. He grabbed his family and he dipped. He went out. Okay? Now he's got to go back into Jerusalem. But God is not sending him back into Jerusalem. He's going to send his 4 sons back into Jerusalem to grab the record of the Jews. Okay? So now let's go to Lehi chapter 4. And I'm going to read the header. It's a lot of reading and I am 9 minutes into this section here. Nephi returns to Jerusalem and slays Laban to obtain the plates of brass. The Lord prepares Zaram, remember that name Zaram, to be a scapegoat for the sons of Lehi. They are therefore able to return to Jerusalem and bring Ishmael and his family with them into the wilderness. Okay. Now we're going to start at verses 1 and we're going to read all the way through 56. So there's a lot of reading to do. So hopefully I can get this done in about 25 minutes, and I'm at 10 minutes on my mark. And it came to pass that when the sons of Lehi returned again outside the walls that surrounded Jerusalem, they were so afraid. And Laman and Lemuel once again doubted the promise of the angel of the Lord when it was promised that Laban and the plates of brass would be delivered unto them. Verse 2. But Nehi did not doubt the words of the angel and rebuked his brother, saying, How can ye deny the power of the Lord when it have been demonstrated to you time and time again? Yea, you have seen an angel, and the angel have rebuked you, and caused your frames to shake before him. How can ye continually deny the power of God, when it have been made known unto you in such great and marvelous ways? Why should ye suffer that I, your younger brother, rule over you, because of your lack of faith and your iniquities? Verse 3. Know ye not that the Lord can command his angels, that they can come to our aid, if it so be that we demonstrate our faith and our worthiness in keeping his commandments? Yea, know not, this is true, and ye also know that an angel hath spoken it unto you. Therefore, how can you doubt? Verse 4. And Nephi spake many words of encouragement unto his older brothers. Nevertheless, they were still afraid and would not go into Jerusalem again. Verse 5. And Nephi became angry with his brothers. Yea, even a righteous indignation came over him. And he stood forth and rebuked his brothers, being wrought by the Holy Spirit. Verse 6. And it came to pass that Nephi went forth to Jerusalem at night. And his brother Sam also wanted to go with Nephi into Jerusalem. For behold, Sam did truly love his brother and wanted to protect him from any harm that might befall him. Verse 7. But Nephi did not desire that Sam should accompany him into the city at night. And Nephi told Sam that he should stay with his elder brothers, Laman and Lemuel, and ensure that they didn't go into the city that alert the Jews that he was going again into the house of Laban. This Nephi did because his older brothers had beaten and confessed of the Jews that their father was foolish, and also because of their desire to once again be part of the people at Jerusalem. Verse 8. And Sam heeded the words of Nephi and stayed outside the walls of Jerusalem with his older brothers, Laman and Lemuel. Verse 9. And it came to pass that Nephi went forth into the house of Laban, and he found Laban drunk with wine outside his house.
Dad, have a hot dog?
Yes. Close the door.
I'm sorry. Verses 9. And it came to pass that Nephi went forth into the house of Laban, and he found Laban drunk with wine outside his house. Verses 10. And the Spirit commanded Nephi to kill Laban and dress in his clothes, that he might gain entrance into the house of Laban in disguise, without the guards of Laban knowing that it was not their master. Okay? Now, Nephi has to kill Laban. And after he kills Laban, he's got to dress in his clothes. Alright? Verse 11. And Nephi fought the prompting of the Spirit, for he had never so much as harmed another person or another living creature without just cause at any time in his life. And Nephi doubted the promptings that the Spirit of the Lord gave unto him. Verse 12. But after continual promptings from the Spirit, and after his own reflections in the treatment that he and his brothers had received at the hand of Laban, and also remembering the threats of Laban towards his father, Nephi realized that the Lord had delivered Laban into his hands, and that it would be better for Laban perish than for the commandment of the Lord go unfulfilled. Verse 13. And Nephi also knew that the Jews would wake up in the morning of the next day and find Laban slain, and the Jews would know that the sons of Lehi had killed Laban, for they had visited Laban the previous day and had requested the plates of brass from him. Verse 14. And the Jews would know that it was the sons of Lehi who had done this unto Laban, because the plates of brass would be gone, and Laban would be found dead. And also of this Nephi did again doubt the Spirit, and he began to shrink from the commandment that he had been given. And it came to pass that the Spirit of the Lord once again came unto Nephi and told him to slay Laban and keep the commandments of God, or his family would not prosper, and that day would be destroyed in the wilderness. And the Spirit told Nephi that the Lord had prepared a way whereby the sons of Lehi would not be blamed by the Jews for the death of Laban, or for stealing the plates of brass. Verse 16. And Nephi believed the words of the Spirit, he having had many such manifestations in his youth, and many presently. Therefore he could feel the sanctification of the Spirit of that which he was about to do. Verse 17. And Nephi took the sword of Laban and smote off his head with his own sword. So Nephi just killed Laban, just cut his head off, okay? Now we got to change clothes, all right? And it came to pass that Nephi put on the clothes of Laban and went into the house of Laban. And the guards of Laban were also drunken with wine, and knew not that Nephi was not their master returning home, because Nephi was dressed in the clothes and in the robes of Laban. Verse 19. And it came to pass that Nephi entered the inner chambers of the house of Laban, and commanded the servant of Laban to take up the plates and carry them forth outside the walls of his city to his brethren. Verse 20. And Nephi spoke in the voice of Laban. So Nephi tried to sound like this guy he just killed, all right? And the servant of Laban thought that Nephi was speaking of the brethren of the church, among whom Laban had been with all night. Verse 21. And it came to pass that the servant of Laban followed Nephi out of the city of out of the city of Jerusalem. And Nephi led the servant to where his older brothers were hiding. And when Laman and Lemuel and Sam saw Nephi, who was dressed in the robes of Laban, coming with a servant of Laban, they were afraid and fled before him. But Nephi took off his headdress of Laban and called to his brethren, Hey, Laman, Lemuel, Sam, it's me. Okay? Verse 24. And when the servant of Laban saw that Nephi was not his master, he also attempted to flee. Okay, so the servant thought that Nephi was his master. Now he want to flee. He's scared now. He just committed a crime. All right. But Nephi grabbed hold of the servant of Laban and held him tight, and would not allow him to flee from before him. And the servant of Laban began to call out with a loud Salakia. Let me start over. And the servant of Laban began to call out loud for help, that others inside the city walls might hear his cries. Verse 25. And Nephi drew the sword of Laban and told the servant of Laban that he would slay him if he did not give unto them the plates and return with them to the tent of their fathers in the wilderness. And Nephi pleaded with the servant of Laban that they would not harm him, and that he would no longer be a servant to any man as long as he abated with them in the wilderness. And the Spirit of the Lord came over the servant of Laban, and his name was Zeram. Okay, remember at the beginning I told you to keep out for this guy named Zeram. He's the scapegoat, okay? And Zeram fell at the feet of Nephi, and conveyed it with him that he would be his servant from that time forth, if he would be spared his life. And Nephi lifted Zeram up and embraced him and said unto him, My brother, knowest thou not that thou art my brother, and that we are all children of the same God? Knowest thou not that the same Creator who gave me power to slay your master and obtain these plates have spared thy life, and have from this day forth set thee free? Thou shalt be my brother and my friend. Verse 29. And Zeram believed Nephi and was brought up by the Spirit of God so exceedingly that he wept on the shoulder of Nephi and promised to obey all the commandments of God from that time forth. Verse 30. And it was in this way that the Lord prepared a means whereby the sons of Lehi would not be blamed for the murder of Laban or the stealing of the plates of brass, as the people of Jerusalem would believe. Verse 31. For behold, the next morning the Jews did find the body of Laban, and they did also discover that the plates of brass were missing, and had been taken from his house. Nevertheless, they knew also that Zeram was missing from among them. And it came to pass that the Jews believed that Zeram had stolen the plates of brass from Laban after he killed his master. And the Jews attributed no blame to Lehi or his sons. Okay? So the Most High God made Zeram the scapegoat. So the Jews, when they woke up the next morning, they wasn't going to blame Lehi. Okay? So Lehi's free. Okay? But if Zeram gets caught, he's a dead man. So that's why the Most High put a spirit on Zeram to leave with Nephi and his family to go to the promised land. Okay? Verse 32. And it came to pass that the sons of Lehi did return to the tent of their fathers in the wilderness. And after they had returned to their father in the wilderness, their mother, Sariah, did rejoice exceedingly. And this she did because of the anguish that she was caused by the commandment of the Lord in sending her sons back into the city of Jerusalem to obtain the plates of brass from Laban. And Sariah had complained considerably to her husband Lehi, saying, I know that thou art a man of God, and that thou hast served the Lord all the days of thy life. And I know that thou believest that we have been led out of the land of our inheritance because of thy dreams and thy visions. Yea, I know that the things which thou speakest about the church at Jerusalem are true, for I have felt these things many times during my own life. Verse 35. And I also know that the people of Jerusalem did seek thy life, and that thy life would have been in the hands if we had not fled into the wilderness. Verse 36. Nevertheless, how canst thou say that the Lord hath commanded thee to send our sons to their deaths, and my daughters to suffer day and night because of the loss of their brothers, and also because of their hunger and their thirst, which we have suffered these many days in the wilderness. Let me stop here at 37. Let me close the door. Sorry. Or lock the door. Okay. My best boy can't mess with me today. Alright. Verse 37. Knowest thou not that I am even at this time ripe with child, and that I will deliver this child in the wilderness? And my daughters, what shall they do when they are grown and have no man to choose from to be a husband? Shall they be single and barren all the days of their lives and perish into the wilderness? Verse 38. And Sarah, one of the daughters of Lehi, rebuked her mother and embraced her father Lehi, who also was depressed in spirit because of the things that were required of his sons by the Lord. Verse 39. And Sarah spoke consoling words unto her father and rebuked her mother for the things that she had said. For behold, Sarah was greatly blessed by the Spirit of the Lord, and understood many things which she kept secret, and unto herself because of her respect for her father and his authority in the priesthood. Lehi, he is a high priest of Aaron. He has the lower priesthood, but not the higher priesthood. The higher priesthood would be the Melchizedek priesthood, okay? All right. For Sarah truly understood many of the mysteries of the things of God. Verses 40. And my time mark 24. And Sarah brought great joy and refreshment unto her father, and she embraced her and rebuked his wife Sarah for her lack of faith and doubt. Verse 41. And it came to pass that when the sons of Lehi returned to the tent of their father, their mother and sisters did rejoice exceedingly. And Sarah did humble herself before the Lord, and also before her husband. And she begged forgiveness for her doubts and offered thanks and sacrifice unto the Lord for the safe return of her sons. Verse 42. And now I, Mormon, having been wrought up by the Spirit, included in my abridgment an explanation of the importance of the plates of brass that Nehi and his brethren obtained from Laban. Behold, is it not the intent or purpose of the Lord to destroy any man to accomplish his purpose? And after Nephi had taken the life of Laban, he was promised by the Spirit of the Lord that the blood of Laban would not be required at his hand. Also, that no man shall shed the blood of another from that time forth, except it shall be in the defense of his life or the life of his family. Verse 44. Behold, the Spirit hath shown unto me the destruction of Jerusalem, and the carrying away of the people into foreign lands. And had the plates of brass been allowed to remain in the possession of Laban, they would have been destroyed. So the Most High used Lehi and his sons to grab the plates, the history books of the Jews. And if they hadn't done that, everything would have been destroyed. You wouldn't have this book here, okay? You wouldn't have this book here, all right? There would be a lot of books you wouldn't have if Lehi didn't do what he had to do, okay? Verse 45. And also the plates of brass were a record of the Jews. They were their records, okay? And also a record of the laws of Moses that were established among the Jews for the sake of righteousness, and for the guidance of the church that was established among the children of Israel. And they also obtained many of the prophecy and the words of the great prophets who preached unto the Jews. And these things were necessary that Lehi might teach his children the things that were taught by the children of Israel, so that they could be more correctly taught in the ways of the Lord. Verse 46. And Jerusalem was destroyed, thus fulfilling the word of the Lord as was prophesied by the mouth of the holy prophets. Okay? And we were supposed to read over to 56. Let's see how much time we got left. And when Jerusalem was destroyed, many of the pure records and the scriptures of the Jews were also destroyed. Nevertheless, because the plates of brass were preserved by the hand of the Lord by way of the sons of Lehi, a more perfect records of the words of the prophets and also of the commandments of God were preserved for future generations. Okay? And thus doeth the Lord preserve the words that he given unto the children of all men in all dispensation of time. And one day shall all the books with an S, okay? Don't just read the Bible. The Most High got 204 books, okay? And your preacher's going to tell you to stay in the Bible. But the Most High said, I got 204 books. Read them, okay? I'm reading one to you now, all right? Which have been written by the commandment of the Lord to be opened. And all the children of men shall see that the Lord hath been just and merciful unto his children by giving unto them in every generation his words and his commandments by far of scripture, and also by the mouths of his holy prophets. Okay? Let me drop down and read the highlighted parts because my time is running out. Alright? For behold, the Lord commanded Lehi to once again send his sons to Jerusalem to conceive Ishmael and his family, to join them in the wilderness. And had the sons of Lehi returned into the land of Jerusalem, they would have been bound and brought before the judge of the land and be tried for the murder of Laban. But the Jews were convinced of the guilt of Zaram because he had the keys to the vaults of Laban and was the only one who could obtain the plates. And in this way the Lord prepared a way that the sons of Lehi could once again return into Jerusalem to go and get Ishmael and his family. Okay? Let me skip down to the next chapter, verses 5. 27 through 33. Hopefully I can get this done. If not, I got to make a part 2. Okay? Verse 27. Behold, ye have the record of the Jews, and ye will also have this record, which the Lord hath commanded to be written as a second testament of his gospel. Okay? Let's start over. Behold, ye have the record of the Jews, the Bible. The Bible is the record of the southern house of Israel. The Book of Mormon is the record of the northern tribe of Israel. Okay? Lehi is from the tribe of Manasseh. Of course, he's got his records. Okay? Let's start over again. Behold, ye have the record of the Jews, and ye also have this record, which the Lord hath commanded to be written as a second testament of his gospel. And now that ye have these two testimonies of the words of Christ, why are ye so blind that ye will not see? Yea, what were the words that the Lord spake unto my fathers, the Nephites? Were they not the same words that he spake unto the Jews at Jerusalem? Oh my beloved brothers and sisters, read his words, ponder his gospel, and pray for understanding. Your church meetings, your ordinances, your genealogies, your tithes, your offerings, your temples, your churches, your rituals, and your prayers are not sanctified by the Lord or his Spirit, because all of these things cause you to reject and deny the true gospel of Jesus Christ. Read the words of Isaiah that the prophet Enoch spoke unto the Jews at Jerusalem, and liken them unto yourselves, for your plight is much worse than theirs. And now I, Mormon, do prophesy unto you in the name of the Lord, even Jesus Christ, that the things that I write to you at this time shall be withheld from you, until there be found someone who is righteous enough to read and understand them. I am righteous enough to read and understand what I'm reading. Okay? For behold, the Lord has showed me that these things shall be withheld from the children of men because of their wickedness. Nevertheless, much of my abridgment of plates of Nephi would be translated and given unto the world. But these words of prophecy will be taken because of wickedness, and will not be given unto the children of men until the church of God have become like unto the large and spacious building, of which Lehi had spoke in his vision. And at that time these things shall come forth as a testament against the church of God and its wickedness. And when these things that have been withheld come forth, the righteous of the church shall have these things and understand them. Okay, I understand what I'm reading, okay? And leave that great and spacious building and grasp to the rod of iron that will lead them to the fruit of the tree of happiness. Okay? Walk out of the churches. It's telling you that the spacious building is the buildings that the Gentiles built for the past 2,000 years. You're supposed to walk out of them, okay? You're supposed to... The Most High is not in churches built by the hands of men. The children of Israel is their church. They're supposed to gather together, okay?